2 years after the Gaza war, after thousands of martyrs, massacres and so on, today we receive this news that says Hamas accepts Trump's peace plan. The news that struck like lightning among all Arab and Islamic audiences, making everyone wonder, did Hamas really surrender? Did Hamas really surrender after accepting this plan? Or did it reverse the situation on Netanyahu last minute? So today, what many people don't know is that behind this acceptance, there's a very complex intelligence game. A plan that was meant to bury the Palestinian cause for good, turning Gaza into Netanyahu's Riviera. But the surprise is that Hamas used almost the same plan to blow up this project from the inside. So today, in this episode, I'll show you one of the most dangerous political maneuvers in the history of the Arab-Israeli conflict. Stay with us. Dear viewers, peace be upon you. Welcome to today's Opinion Series episode, which we hope will be a strong and insightful discussion. Today, viewers, everyone may be wondering, how could Hamas accept this plan? Trump's plan for peace in Gaza? How could Hamas accept this plan that was recently presented, which includes all its terms? It is considered a surrender plan, not a peace plan, a plan that gives complete victory to Israel and Netanyahu. The plan that was presented to you, in one of the previous episodes, actually raised a lot of questions among all those interested, among all the followers and so on. Is it really a peace plan for Gaza, or is it just a trick, a new peace trick? Today, after Hamas announced its acceptance of this plan, maybe everyone has another question. How could they accept that? Why did they accept this plan? Today, before diving into the details and translating our topic, I want to mention the 20-point plan. Each one is a point, as everyone knows. It offers guarantees and provides major victories for Israel. While it is considered a death certificate for the Gaza Strip, starting from the conditions for ending the war, passing through the issue of the hostages, and also ending any political or military role for Hamas in Gaza, giving the rule of Gaza to former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, burying the issue or demand of establishing a Palestinian state, and so on. All of these points, all points. This plan confirms that the Palestinian cause is over. It confirms that Gaza will become a Riviera. The Middle East is under the rule of puppets. They are appointed by Israel one way or another, so this plan, like everyone before, of course, follows Netanyahu as usual. But what surprised everyone is that today, Hamas as well issued a statement accepting this plan. This raised a lot of questions, as I said. Why? How did this happen? So there have been leaks starting to come out to the world, explaining exactly what happened, explaining Hamas's clever plan, so they could get out of this historic predicament, because it's a critical moment. Honestly, there was a very dangerous plan, a plan aimed at putting Hamas in front of two impossible choices: either sign the agreement or erase the Gaza Strip from existence completely. So during all these past days, it became clear that Hamas was holding internal consultations with the other resistance factions and so on inside Gaza, studying how to avoid this predicament, how to get through this difficult stage. Also, it became clear, at the same time, there was another high-level meeting in the Qatari capital, Doha, bringing together the heads of intelligence from Turkey, Egypt and Qatar, also to study this situation, to study this historic predicament. So today, it became clear that these Islamic countries, which had recently agreed to Trump's plan in Gaza, had agreed to the plan that was recently presented in New York. So it turned out that they agreed to another plan different from the one that was discussed today. It turned out that these countries are Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Turkey, Jordan, Indonesia, the United Arab Emirates, and Qatar. When they agreed to Trump's plan in New York, they actually agreed to a somewhat different plan. But when Netanyahu met Trump recently, he convinced him to make further changes to this plan to ensure a complete victory. For Netanyahu and Israel, the key is that everyone joined the plan and became entangled by accepting a plan that was never possible to implement. So Hamas was faced with two options: either agree or Gaza would be completely destroyed because Netanyahu is here. What was he saying in the face of this suspicious plan, really? What was he saying? He believed that it was impossible for Hamas to agree to the plan, impossible for them to accept this plan. So he was just waiting for the deadline given by Trump to end. And therefore, Hamas comes out with a decision to reject. So Trump gives Israel the green light to do whatever Netanyahu wants. At that point, everything left in Gaza will be destroyed and killed because there will be a pretext. Hamas refused to stop the war. There will be more hunger. There will be a bigger siege. There will be more killing and so on. So Netanyahu was very surprised when Hamas came out with this acceptance of the plan. So here, just so everyone knows, when Hamas issued a statement announcing its acceptance of this plan, it was a very clever statement. They used phrases and words that were very precise and very smart. They did not accept Trump's plan as it is. They did not accept the terms of Trump's plan as they were presented. As it was announced, they only announced the acceptance of stopping the war and the complete exchange of prisoners and hostages all at once. Then after that, entering into other negotiations about the other points, one point at a time. So Hamas took a very important tactical step. What is the main goal of accepting this plan? Is to thwart Netanyahu's plan to get out of this trap. So after all international eyes were on Hamas, accusing it of rejecting this plan, refusing to stop the war and so on, making it look like the one responsible in front of the international community, today the focus has shifted to Netanyahu.
Why?
He will now reject these Palestinian proposals, refuse to stop the war, and insist on implementing Trump's plan, just as they came before. Some people today might have concerns. Why do they have these concerns? He might have concerns about this point that Hamas accepted a complete exchange of prisoners all at once, including the living and the dead together, even including the bodies. Some might say that Israel, immediately after receiving the prisoners, will disregard this agreement and return to war again. And this is a fact that everyone really needs to accept. Netanyahu will not stop the war completely no matter what agreements are made. He will not end this war for good. Netanyahu wants to completely eliminate anything called Palestine. Netanyahu is now in the hands of the far-right group in Israel, which wants expansion and wants to establish Greater Israel. Yeah, the war in Gaza may not stop and could even expand. Ending the resistance will not end the war. Resistance, in essence, cannot be completely eliminated. Today, it is possible to eliminate individuals in this resistance, but removing it is impossible. So the important thing is that everyone today must be convinced that this war in Gaza will not end this way. And no matter what is said today about steps being taken, progress in negotiations and so on, the war will not actually stop. Even if an agreement is reached, the war will not stop. Netanyahu will return to war as soon as he receives the captives. So when some people hear this, they will say, then why is Hamas accepting today? They will say that Hamas should not hand over all the captives at once. But the truth today is that the war in Gaza has entered a new phase. Today, Hamas has initially agreed to this plan for two reasons. The first reason is that keeping the hostages has become a huge burden for them. The war has entered a stage where it is no longer possible to preserve the lives of the hostages. I mean, in the way this war has reached, with this ground invasion that today has reached the center of Gaza City. Today, at any moment, Israeli forces could reach the main tunnels, and at that point, of course, there will be a direct confrontation. and it will certainly end with the family's death. Netanyahu doesn't care. This means that Netanyahu now no longer has any concern for the family. He wants to reach his goal by any means, even if it involves this danger, to eliminate it. Meanwhile, Hamas is obsessed with this. They have a different goal. Hamas is protecting the family. Why? So that there will be a deal to exchange the captives and thus achieve one of its main goals from the events of October 7, the release of Palestinian captives held in Israeli prisons. If the Israeli forces reach a day, even while they are inside, it's not in Hamas's interest, because then the Palestinian captives will never be released. At that point, that's it. Today, Israel has a very large number of captives. A lot of them have life sentences, and many of them also have other sentences of 20, 30, 60 years, etc. Therefore, now the war has reached a very sensitive stage. A stage that requires Hamas to quickly make a prisoner exchange deal, even if it's all at once. Even if it knows that Israel will return to fighting again after receiving the prisoners. The important thing then is that it will have fulfilled its promise, meaning giving freedom to its prisoners. For Israel, that's first. Secondly, also, when Hamas makes a prisoner exchange agreement. By doing so, it ends the pretext that Israel is using today for this ground invasion, because now, despite all the international calls to stop the war, Israel does not stop this war. Why? With the pretext that there are hostages with Hamas that they want to reach. Everyone who talks today with Netanyahu about these crimes, about this war and so on, he tells them, we have hostages there, we must reach them, and this is the only way. But when the agreement happens, then this pretext will no longer exist, and as a result, Israel will be even more implicated in front of the international community as well. Hamas agrees today, but why? So that it doesn't appear as the one refusing to stop the war. Because if everyone has noticed recently, there has been some very serious media direction. I mean, at first, there were strong calls to stop the war in Gaza from all over the world. There were meetings at the United Nations and everyone talked about this. After that, America came out with a plan. The 8 Islamic countries agreed to this plan, and then Israel came and agreed to this plan. So all eyes remained focused on who? On Hamas? If everyone doesn't accept, do you accept this plan as it is? This is the current media directive. Now, it will be claimed that Hamas is refusing to end the war, so everything happening in Gaza, including the crimes, will be blamed on Hamas. They refuse to stop the war. So in turn, they agreed to this plan. But the cleverness here, as I explained to you, is that they agreed, but with great intelligence and political cunning, making this approval not complete. These are exactly the real reasons that made Hamas announce its acceptance of this plan. They got themselves out of this predicament, and at the same time, they saved Gaza from a scenario of total destruction. And now Israel is the one obligated today. They are the ones who are required to negotiate with Hamas and the terms to stop this war. But here, just so everyone knows, according to the leaks, we must not forget that there are 3 countries in the region that have truly played a major role in bringing about this new transformation, because 3 countries in the region exerted pressure on President Trump so that he would not remain subject to Israeli conditions or under the mercy of Israeli influence. Which countries are these? They are Turkey, Egypt, and Qatar, because these countries quickly held meetings and made direct contacts with Trump and convinced him to respond enthusiastically. Even though he didn't give full approval, complete approval of the plan as it is, they agreed on the idea and that it should be negotiated step by step, and that this is the beginning, a good and successful start to reach a final agreement. So there was really significant work done by these countries, both at the leadership level and at the intelligence level. Also, among the important gains that Hamas achieved after announcing this approval is that it gained American recognition. Suddenly, Hamas became a recognized Palestinian party. It became A Palestinian party is being officially addressed for the first time, possibly ever, after America used to describe Hamas as a terrorist group. We saw how President Trump, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, or Deputy Jurist Dr. Vance, or others were reposting Hamas's statement. This never happened before, it never happened before. So now pay close attention to this important point as well. Hamas was very smart. They knew exactly what Trump wanted. Why? Because they gave him this approval, which is considered a golden opportunity for Trump to run for the Nobel Peace Prize. This prize will open the door for receiving nominations on October 10th, which means next Friday. So, it means the approval came at the right time, so that Trump can use it in the media to say that he succeeded in releasing the hostages. He succeeded in bringing peace to the region. He succeeded in something that Israel couldn't achieve. I mean, with military force, after 2 years of fighting, he only succeeded politically. So Hamas managed to turn the tables on Israel at the decisive moment, which was supposed to be the moment of surrender. It could have been the moment of collapse. At this moment, Netanyahu is suffering again. He's back to square one, and now he has to continue this war, and as a result, he will find himself facing a confrontation with Trump. Today, all Israeli media outlets, without exception, are talking about how Netanyahu will manipulate this agreement again. There will be no final agreement. He will never agree to stop the war in Gaza. If he agrees, it will be like agreeing to his own removal from power and being thrown into Israeli prisons on charges of corruption, damaging Israel's image, and so on. So the war will not stop until this entity is gone. This war will continue until the appointed time, the time of its end. And the question now, how will Trump respond when he is completely convinced that Netanyahu refuses to stop the war? Is it possible that we could see a scenario where Trump completely turns against Netanyahu? Reply in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and peace be upon you until we meet again.